Hi, writers. Okay, so today is day 3, stage 2 of the writing process, which we call drafting. And our focus today is to tell the story from a narrator's point of view. We talk a lot about point of view in ELA, and now we're going to focus on that while we're writing. So, let's get started. Please open up to the next blank page in your writer's notebook and date it 7/29/2015. The title is Stage 2, Drafting. I want you to write the question, number 1, why did we map memories yesterday, at the top of your page. One reason is to set a scene or a setting for personal narratives. And I need you to come up with 2 more reasons why we did mapping memories yesterday. Great. So, here are some other reasons why we mapped memories yesterday. We mapped memories to generate ideas for our personal narratives. Remember, places that were important to us would be good settings for our stories. It gets the ideas flowing, so we're ready to start actually writing. And it also gave us a list of events and characters that we could use in our personal narratives. Underneath where you wrote your ideas for mapping memories yesterday, I want you to write down these 2 points. First of all, point of view. The definition of point of view is the person or narrator telling the story. Remember that when we get point of view, the reader understands the thoughts, feelings, and opinions of the narrator. In this case, you are the narrator. So it's your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions. But what you want to remember is the reader should only know and see what the narrator is able to know and see. So if you are in one room or you are at one event and something happens elsewhere, you wouldn't know what happened unless another character in the story tells you. So only write down what the narrator knows and what the narrator can see. Here's an example of not sticking with a narrator's point of view. I was still at the changing table, my goddaughter squirming beneath me. In the next room, my brother put a box on the kitchen table and peeled back a strip of tape to uncover old family photos. So the reason this is a non-example is because how would you know what your brother was doing in the next room if you were in the middle of a serious diapering operation? You don't know that your brother's pulling back a strip of tape. You don't know that your brother's uncovering old family photos because he's not in the same room with you. And here's a really good example of sticking with the narrator's point of view. I was still at the changing table, my goddaughter squirming beneath me. In the next room, I heard a loud thump. My brother's voice roared, "Unbelievable, just unbelievable." I called for him. "Greg?" So we hear the thump. That's something you could hear from the other room. You could hear your brother talking to himself, but you wouldn't know what he was doing yet because you can't see it. So what I want you to do underneath your notes is write passage number 1. And I'm going to read this passage, and I want you to write down if the narrator could understand it, write good example. And if the narrator couldn't have seen it or understand it, write bad example. So write passage number 1. I carefully sat down, feeling the cold rush beneath me. My hands gripped the edges of the slide. "Ready?" the attendant asked. "I think so," I replied, still unsure. So I want you to either write down that's a good example because the narrator would know and understand those things, or bad example. Underneath that, please write passage number 2. My cousin waited at the bottom of the slide, wondering what was taking me so long. Write either good example if the narrator could understand that, or bad example if the narrator wouldn't be able to see that. All right, so let's get our answers. Passage number 1, good example. It's only talking about the feelings of the narrator and what the narrator can see and understand. Passage 2, bad example. We don't know what the cousin was wondering because you are not inside your cousin's head. So now it's time to actually get started with our first personal narrative draft. If you want to go back to your map and help you brainstorm, think about the events and the people and the place that you drew, that's great. If you want to just talk about your life or something else that you didn't draft yesterday, that's fine too. But today you're going to be drafting your first personal narrative. So remember to stick with your narrator's point of view, which should be your point of view because you're telling your story. So underneath your notes, you can go ahead and get started with your independent writing. We're at a voice level 0. Good luck.